Good afternoon, my name is Patrick Murray. I'm a principal with the FD Centre in the South East region. Welcome to this webinar. I'm here today to talk about exit planning, and this seminar will be most useful for you if you're an owner of a business who's looking to exit your business within the next couple of years. My background, I'm a chartered accountant. I've 20 years experience, primarily in the media sector, and during that time I've managed a number of successful exits. So what's our agenda? Well, this presentation is in three parts. Firstly, I wanted to talk about the common problems we have in clients with exits. Then to look at how you manage your exits, and finally to look at a case study of an FD who's been in an successfully managed exit with the FD Centre. So what are some of the common problems we encounter in exits with businesses? Sometimes we find in businesses, despite their success, that you have a stressed managing director, a lonely managing director. There's no plan to take the business forward in terms of a business plan. Sometimes we have problems with succession planning and the culture in the business. The employees don't have adequate skills to grow the business, and the systems in the business are not scalable. Sometimes the reporting's not very good and it's late when it arrives. There are no live forecasts, and as a consequence, many of the decisions are made on a gut feel. And some of the profit drivers and cash drivers are not identified in the business. There's also an over-reliance on the MD for making decisions, and as a consequence, there's no delegation throughout the business of the decision-making process. Also, in terms of the sales and marketing side, the business is not positioned very well, and sometimes the management of the sales process is a bit haphazard. So how does this affect us when we take a business into a sale process? Well, we can find that the sale process will fail because the business is too reliant on the owner. The owner will be distracted in the sale process and therefore distracted from running the business. The business is poorly presented because the information coming out of the business isn't sufficient to support a valuation, and the management team isn't bought into the process and won't come along with it. So is your business ready to exit? Well, I think you have to answer the following questions yes, if you're going to have a good chance of exiting profitably. You have to have the right team in place, and by that I mean you have to have a team that is not completely dependent on you as the founder. You have to have a management team who can run the business without you. You have to have good positioning. Your business has to sit well in its market. Are your distribution channels working well? Do you have good sales and marketing channels? Are they delivering for the business? Do you have adequate financial systems? Do you have adequate sales systems and operation systems? Ones that are capable of delivering data on time to you, relevant for making decisions? Do you have any projected financials and a business plan going forward? And do you have a succession plan? Do you know what you want to achieve out of the exit, whether you want to continue to be in the business or whether you would want to exit when the business is acquired? Now, how do we think about timing for a growing business? I think the key here is that you need to leave some cash on the table and some growth on the table for the business who's acquiring you, because there's a strategic multiple attracted to a valuation when you have growth. So the idea is you sell before you're at your peak, and therefore you are leaving some growth on the table, and that's particularly important if you have an earn-out situation. We'll cover that in a minute. So how do we help prepare companies for an exit? Well, there are some golden rules associated with a successful sale, and the most golden of the golden rules is that you need to start planning early. Realistically, you need to start thinking about your exit about 2 years before you exit, or you're thinking of exiting. You need to identify the strategic value, that is the value in the business, the reason why people will be buying your business. And you need to design and manage the exit process such that you can attract the maximum value. If you don't manage your exit process may well end up managing you, and that's not a situation you want. Also, you need to ensure that the business continues to deliver while you are involved in the exit process. So let's think about the value drivers. what are the people who are buying your company actually buying? What are they buying beyond the strategic performance of your business? Are they buying a brand? Are they buying you for your wonderful products? Are they buying you for your intellectual property? Are they buying you for your distribution? Their perception of you and the value they'll attract to you depends on the way they perceive you. And the value drivers will change for different buyers. So a financial buyer will be looking purely for performance. A strategic buyer, strategic trade buyer, will be looking for other things. And there is often a premium attracted to a bid from a strategic trade buyer. Also, a trade buyer will be looking for things they can't achieve organically. And they'll be looking at it as a make or buy decision. So they'll be looking at whether they can achieve things organically, whether they can grow a business themselves, or whether they buy you. So you also need to think about what the buyer can bring to your business. Can they add to your business by injecting capital? Can you leverage off their distribution? Can you leverage off their brand? Do they have products that you can combine with your products and sell? If you have and can identify the synergy with the buyer, then you can then help to increase your multiple by emphasizing that to them. So let's think about the different types of buyer. In a nutshell, there are 4 types of buyer. There are direct competitors, people who are competing with you in your marketplace. There are customers or suppliers, so people who are looking to integrate up the value chain or to lock in their supply chain. You have trade diversifiers, so people who are in a tangential market to you, also looking to broaden their market base. And then you have pure financial buyers who are purely looking to buy your business for its financial performance. So let's look at planning the exit process itself. As I've said, you need to start thinking about positioning about 2 years before. And that really is all about looking at the value drivers, what people will buy, what makes you special as a business. Then between 3 and 6 months before you're looking at exiting, you need to start thinking about appointing advisors to help you through that process, and that will involve marketing your business. Then you identify buyers and you get into negotiation, and hopefully that will lead to closing the transaction. And the first 2 boxes are all about presenting value, and the second 2 are about protecting the price you've negotiated. So let's look at the sales process in more detail. And basically, there are 3 work streams you need to think about. The things you do internally in the company, the joint work you do between yourselves and the external advisors, and what the external advisors do themselves. In terms of what you do internally, you have to prepare for the sale, which means getting your legal house in order, getting your accounting house in order, and looking at potential things that can derail the sale. Also, you should be doing all your tax planning. Any planning for how you might extract value from the sale should be done up front. Then you appoint some external advisors and identify potential buyers through a marketing program. And that leads to normally selecting one or more buyer, and you then go into heads of agreement with them. At that stage also, you'll kick off a due diligence process, which may or may not involve a data room. I definitely recommend a data room if you have multiple buyers. And then you'll go into contract negotiation, and then hopefully completion at the end. So some tips based on personal experience. Firstly, personal assets. If you have assets that will not be going with the company when it's being sold, then they need to be removed from the balance sheet as early as you can. And I'm not just talking about racehorses, I'm talking about things like freeholds. If you have a freehold where you're going to continue to want to own that building and the company occupies it, that needs to be tidied up and a lease needs to be put in place. There are a couple of long form nasties. The long form is the agreement that you use when you sell the company. It's your contract of sale. And your professional advisors will guide you through this, but in terms of the pitfalls, there's a lot of negotiation around warranties and indemnities, and you need to be very careful what you agree to there, because that is akin, in some instances, to writing a blank check. So it's very important that those parts receive the due attention that they need. Also, in terms of valuation, there's often something called an earn-out clause, whereby the buyer will want to lock in some of the consideration, like the price they pay for your business, against future performance of the business. And again, a lot of care needs to be put in place when you're negotiating that. Finally, in terms of things that can derail the sale, if you can get any legal disputes out the way that are ongoing before you get into the sale process, then that will help you enormously, because that will worry the buyer coming in. So any HR disputes, any employment tribunals, if you have any customer disputes, any potential litigation, if that can be settled well before going into the sales process, then that will ease the process enormously. Now I'd like to talk about a case study, an example of when one of our FDs here at the FD Centre went into a business and helped them achieve a successful exit. So the case study I'd like to talk about is Kiddie Care, who are a retailer of children's products. In terms of market share, they're second only to Mothercare in the UK. They're rapidly growing, have a strong management team and very, very strong operations. The FD Centre became involved in 2008, and upon our involvement we improved financial management and management reporting, we tightened up stock control, and we played a key role in the sale process, all the way from helping to draft the investment memorandum, helping with negotiation, and helping going through the due diligence process. We ran the sale with multiple business in an auction style format where the prices increased with each successive round of bidding. And the result, we helped to sell the business in 2010 to Morrisons for 70 million, which is a 20 times EBITDA multiple. It's estimated that over 20 million of that was due to the way that the exit process was run. So I think it's clear that running your exit process in a disciplined and successful way means that you can extract a lot more value. So I hope you found this session useful. If you have more questions or would like to speak to a member of our team, then please fill out the form on the right-hand side of this webinar. Many thanks.